Hey everyone, here we are for part 2 of the ring tutorial. So basically what we're going to be doing is a textile on one side, and then we're going to be doing a kind of just a curved aspect on the other. And so to get this started, I'm going to be taking our stone and bringing the inner wires up over it, because we're going to want to start to build our setting. So that way you can kind of see where the stone will be sitting. Yeah. So now we're going to get into a little bit of shaping here. So we've got those where we need them to be. So we'll do the text side on this side, and then we'll do the curve on this one. The curve is super easy. And we can go ahead and start to bend this down, but don't bend it underneath or around, because we're going to attach another part here. So bring your outermost wire, start to curve it that way. Because we're going to build a coil off of here. And by now you should have watched the how to build a double coil setting, or the double coil video. And then this will be our other detailing wire up here on the top. So on this side, we're going to kind of do a similar concept. But for right now, we're going to just leave them kind of out straight like that. Don't curve them. Alrighty, so for now we are going to take that out of there. It's easier for me to work with it off. So building a coil on a ring is kind of interesting because you're not exactly just using the bar as a lever like you would on a regular coil build. We're going to use some 26 gauge round for this coil. We're not going to need a whole lot of it. And so let's get our 30G onto our round. Make sure all those little coils are uniform. So once you've got a good little section of that 30G on there, you can twist it to feed more onto it. A little bit of an issue here with this light being in the way. There we go. Alrighty. Once you've got a good little section of that 30G onto your 26 round, you're going to lay that kind of through these. Make sure you're on that last wire, because you're going to bring this around and through. I want to start to get that tight onto that wire. Before you tighten it all the way though, you're going to want to bring that coil back. And then clip and tuck that last little bit of that 26 onto that 21 square base. And make sure that's nice and tight up against the back end there. You're going to want at least a little bit of a section of that coiled part to be sticking out here. It's really hard to get your finger tight in up against that ring. But basically, kind of like in the how to make a coil video, you're going to set this in your hand, and as best as you can, get that lever action going to feed that 30G onto that 26 round, using the ring as the lever. It gets to be difficult, especially with the 26 round, because the 26, even in half hard, doesn't exactly stand stable like some of the other wires will. Like, 24 and 22, once you straighten it, it can kind of hold its shape a little bit, but the 26 likes to give, especially when you're twisting it. Once you've got a good little section of that 30G threaded on there, go ahead and start to bring those coils on there. Try to keep them as uniform as possible. Alrighty. Then a little bit more. Make sure you tighten up all of those coiled sections so that way this is nice and uniform. And then what we're going to do to switch up the texture here is, keeping that 30G attached, we're going to just continue on with the 26G bare. and just continue that on down the wire. Make sure that stays nice and tight on there as well. Going to go maybe about 10 times down that wire. Or whichever length you might need for whatever size ring you're making. You don't necessarily have to make this the same size that I'm making. I'm kind of just making sure that you don't twist it too far in there, You want this to be backed against the stone, but not so far that it pushes the stone out of place. Alrighty, take that back out. We're going to do our final detail on this coil and bring our 30G back around over it, just over those little grooves to give it a nice smooth finish. And then, once it's back over on this side, we can feed it up and through in between these two over here. And you can start wrapping it around that middle 21 base, just so that way you can start doing your detailing over here. Before we continue on with that, we will tie down our coil here onto the ring. Flip off whichever extra you might have. I like to bend it right at the end of that 26, so that way the 26 kind of sits on the top there, and then the side is just, bare 21. Wrap that around twice. Alrighty, and now, since we kind of have that going, we're going to start to shape our tech side as well. Making sure that you're coming up whatever stone, or coming over whatever stone you're using. Give it a nice sharp angle. This is why we make sure we build good settings. And then maybe once more. Just to kind of give it that dimension there. Just kind of straighten out that line right there. Alrighty. Now I'm going to take my second one and kind of just loosely outline it with that, because I'm not attaching them yet. I can drop that out. I think we're going to leave it kind of wider on the end here, so that way I can do a wider weave here. Now back on this other side, we're going to continue our curved detailing. We're going to just continue wrapping down that middle wire. And then what I'm going to do is go underneath and then back over both bars after about maybe a centimeter. Then I'm going to do 3 more little wraparounds, then go under both bars again and back over. Do 3 times and then just back around that ring again. All right. Make sure it's nice and tight and it's got enough space to fit in there on that other bar. Alrighty. And then back under and over. Alrighty. Went around 4 times. So it was progression of 2, then 3, then 4. And then we're going to just continue on down. Continue on down that last section of the 21 square base wire. And then once you get to the end, you're going to clip that off kind of on the inside of those two. And as you can see, we've got our detailing here for the top of our curved setting on this ring. And now we're going to bring that down over the ring band. You're going to want to do that wherever it feels most natural and wherever it keeps a hold on that stone. If you need to, go in there and pull that inner part up a little bit. And make sure that it's hooking on the inside of that coil. As you can kind of see there. Because you're going to want that to pull over your stone. Need that to open up just a little bit more. There we go. Get my stone back in there. Bugger. Okay. And then continue wrapping that around the ring band. Give me a little bit of trouble here, sitting where I want it to. I think that's in there good. Okay. You want to make sure that this part is ledged over your stone to hold it in there. You don't want nothing coming out of there. Alrighty. Tighten that down onto the band. Then bring your last section and wrap it around the band as well. I like to go twice and try and make sure that all of those sections are, sitting next to each other. That way they're not sitting on top of each other on this band here. You want that all to be smooth as it's coming onto the band. Okay. You want to make sure that's all nice and smoothed down as well, your little edges that are clipped off there. I always take my pliers and kind of run those down over the edges. You can also use a file and file those down. Alright, now we are going to build the tech component of this, which is also going to include a coil. So, starting off with another section of 26 gauge. We're going to wrap that around. We're going to take our 30 gauge round and wrap that around our 26 gauge round to start off our coil. We're going to want to get a good section on there for this ring. For the rings, it's easier to start off with at least a good little section of that coil started on there before you start doing the lever action spin. Alrighty. And we're going to attach that to our ring. Okay. Alrighty, and then we're going to, once you've got that section started, you're going to want to pull that coil in as close as you can to that base. And seeing where our stone's going to sit, going to bring our coil like that. Okay. Now we will start spinning this 30G onto the coil, just like we did on the other side. I like to nestle that extra 26 gauge in between my index and middle finger as I'm spinning the 30 gauge onto it. Let's cut it loose there. Alrighty. We're going to spin more onto that 26G. We're going to take this coil for not as far as the rounded side, but a little bit down this length here. Once you've got your coil about the length where it will come around this bend, we're going to continue with our 26G and wrap it down the base of this wire all the way. Not all the way, as long as we're going to be using. So basically, have our coil go around that bend, and then it will come around and attach to the ring base. It's maybe about a centimeter. Alrighty. Got a little bit of a loose 30G right there. I kind of tighten that in. Alrighty. So once again, take your 30G and wrap it around to do that final detail on the coil. Redo that section, it came a little loose there. You want that 30G to be sitting on top of those little grooves. And then you're going to bring that 30G back up and around and start to attach it to the top base wires. You can either do the inner one or the outer one. I'm doing the outer. I like to keep that inner kind of smooth just because it, I don't know, I feel like it looks really nice against the stone. Alrighty, I'm bringing your stone in. We're going to bend that coil around the stone where we want it to go. And then, once I've got my coil bent in the angled shape that I'm aiming for, I'm going to smooth out those little rounds right there. Those bent coils can sometimes give you a little bit of an issue in that bend. That's alright though, we can work with that. We're going to bend it around just once. We're not going to attach it all the way just yet. Not just yet. Rework your outer wire as much as you need to. Kind of want it to follow those curves there. Follow those angles really, not curves so much. Because those tech components are all about those nice angles. Easier to achieve on a larger frame, but I like doing the mixed aspects on rings as well. And then we will continue that wire. I like to bring it over sometimes and do an opposite kind of fold, or an opposite kind of weave. You're going to twist it over and under, kind of like almost like the cross pattern weave. Cross back over, and then under, and then from under back over. Just do that a couple times until you're around that corner. And then continue on down that outer wire. Alrighty, then here, to keep it over the stone and tight against it, we're going to do another cross weave. So we're going wrapped around once, and then wrap it over to the other side, wrap it around once, wrap it over to the other side, and so on and so forth. Creating that cross weave pattern. All right. You can take your first wire, wrap it down, nice and tight against that stone, and then continue on with your 30 gauge until you're right at the edge of where that wire would wrap down. So that way your 30G can kind of get compressed tight against these other 21G square that'll be wrapped around this band. But it's not going all the way down to the side or underneath it. So that way it keeps it smooth against the finger. Straighten those out as need be. And keep your ends tucked in as best as possible. And take your extras and wrap that around a good once or twice. And then at this point, you'd be able to go on to polishing, which I will do here, but I'm not going to show you guys in this video just because it's kind of been a long one as is. I will do polishing in another video, maybe this upcoming week or something. But yeah, so basically once you guys have got your ring band built, you can do almost whatever you want with these things. You know, you can do any sorts of styles or anything really. But yeah, polishing at this point, you can either use the silicone radial bristles on, you know, a flex shaft or any sort of rotary tool, really. The green ones are the best for, the 1 micron are best for getting a good finished polish. The other things you can use are sunshine polishing cloths. They also make a pink one that has an abrasive side that is really good for getting tool marks out. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you very much, and thank you. Please let me know what you think of it in the comments, and yeah, have a good day.